Hello there, my naslings. How are my naslings doing tonight? Are we doing all right? Have we had naranjahu to drink, goislop to eat? Have you taken your COVID vaccine today? Don't forget, okay? Tonight we will be reading the harrowing memoirs of Sergeant Mayhem, a soldier that was part of Task Force 68 during Operation High Jump. For the goys who do not know, Operation High Jump was the unofficial continuation of World War II, when the German garrisons in the North Pole refused to surrender after the death of Adolf Hitler. Germany had annexed the North Pole at some point in the late 30s, and they had radicalized the Anubians to follow their bigoted, anti-Semitic ways. The German laborers even built railways, roads, and industries, so the garrisons in the North Pole were actually able to sustain themselves whilst Berlin burned to the ground. On October 1st of 1946, the plan to liberate the North Pole from the evil Germans was initiated. With that out of the way, let's read his memoirs. At this point of the war, it was sometime near Christmas of 1946, and my company was stationed in the German settlement of Teufelberg, which was built by Prussian pioneers long ago and eventually became the home to both Germans and native Anubians. The war raged down on the plains, but we were safely nestled in this mountainous village. With us, we had an Anubian partisan that we took as a prisoner. Since the village was so remote, the likelihood of a Wehrmacht attack was quite low. However, this also made communication with the army quite difficult. When a series of blizzards swept through the region, we completely lost touch with the outside world. All the communication lines were frozen, and the roads leading out of this village were totally blocked. Weeks would pass, and the snow would only continue to pile up. A thick layer of frost caked all the windows in the village, and the leaves of all the trees had been stripped away. The lifeless husks of the trees stuck out from the mountainside like broken ribs, and those mountains completely surrounded this village. For most of the day, the sun was blocked by them, and daylight would only reach us at the highest of noon. It was as if we were stuck in a perpetual dusk. Twilight had taken its grip on the village and would never let go. One night, down at the bar, my buddy Fish and I were approached by some locals. One of them seemed quite upset and was yelling something at me. He was German, so I couldn't understand what he was saying. Fortunately, Fish could speak German quite fluently and acted as my translator. For a few minutes, they yelled back and forth at each other. Then Fish turned to me and told me that the children of the Anubian villagers had been going missing and he was demanding our help. We're United States Army, not mercenaries. Fish told the local to bring it up with our captain down at the makeshift barracks we built, to which he did. After hours of the captain and the local going back and forth with each other, I was given a story by him. The captain explained that only a few weeks after our company arrived in the village, the locals noticed a bizarre events occurring. Most of these events seemed small, like plaster being smeared on the walls of the villagers' homes, or frozen loaves of bread being left on their doorsteps. Eventually, even valuables were being stolen. A villager's Kriegsmesser went missing, then the children went missing. The angry local had even formed a posse to search the entire village for the missing children, but they could never be found. Later that night, our Anubian POW had gone missing. Disappearing children was one thing, but a subdued prisoner of war. Rumors spread that there was a perverse and fearsome monster in the mountains that was feasting on the children, but some of our men were suspicious that the real culprit was a sex trafficker living among us. Unfortunately, we had no way to prove this hypothesis without a lengthy investigation, which wasn't our duty. After a few weeks with no incident, I was on a patrol with Fish through the village at about midnight. The dim lamps that hung over the village porches bathed the desolate streets in an ominous orange glow, and they illuminated the silhouette of a figure that was peering into someone's window. We yelled at the figure, and it tore itself away from the window and ran. Fish and I were certain this prowler was the culprit behind the disappearing children, so we chased after it as fast as we could possibly run. We found ourselves on the outskirts of the village when the figure pounced. It leapt up high into the air, then dove into the snow, as if it had just disappeared into thin air. As it turns out, the figure dove down into a cave which was hidden behind a snowdrift. Fish and I went up to the entrance of the cave and yelled into it for the figure to come out. With no response, we drew our guns and shot into the cave. Then there was silence. After what felt like hours of silence, Fish drew his pistol, then bravely walked into the cave, proclaiming that he would investigate. Within mere seconds, he emerged from the darkness with sheer horror on his face. I drew my flashlight and stepped in, and then I found the cause of Fish's horror. The figure that we had seen was the Anubian POW that had escaped weeks prior, and he wasn't alone either. In the back of the cave was all of the missing children, or what was left of them. Our prisoner had been breaking out late at night to kidnap children from the village and was bringing them back with him to his cave. There he would satisfy his perverse and barbaric desires. When the Anubian prisoner was finished with them, he used the stolen sword to cut up his victims and feast upon the remains. The parts he didn't want, he chucked into the back of the cave in a vain attempt to hide the remains. I haven't been able to look at Fox Anubians in the eye ever since. Wow, that was so scary, I actually peed myself. Remember my nasslings? A wise LARPer once said, "Sex is like math. You add the bed and double the nasty action." I hope you enjoyed the telling of Sergeant Mayhem's memoir. If you'll excuse me, it is time for me to have tickle time with my sexy and underage but mature Anubian girlfriend. Good night, my nasslings.